Scores of Alaskans living outside, even on the coldest nights, scrounging around neighborhoods.
It's not something that we as a community should accept.
Others filling shelters to capacity, leaving some without a warm place to stay.
Some people get frostbite, some people don't survive.
So how does Anchorage handle this problem?
I can't arrest people and put them in an apartment somewhere. I don't want to.
And what, if anything, can be done to solve the problem of homelessness? We'll explore these issues in our special Seeking Shelter.
Tonight, we introduce a series of reports from our investigative team as we take an in-depth look into the homeless situation in Anchorage. We'll take a rare glimpse into the day-to-day struggles that unsheltered people have to face, and we'll evaluate some of the potential solutions to the problems surrounding homelessness. But first, we try to break this down by examining how many people in the city are actually homeless. Investigative reporter Mike Mason is here to explain.
Mike, we found the answer to that question may depend upon who you ask. Tonight, we have an update to a story we did in the fall with the latest numbers and facts to help put the situation into perspective.
In the shadow of the Chugach Mountains,
Grateful for the little things, because I could have nothing, and I got a lot of good friends and a lot of good family.
beneath the canopy of the Anchorage skyline,
we're all wondering what to do.
lies another city.
Yeah, I've been in a tent for 2 years.
A place where people are beaten down by rain and desperation.
I didn't have no place to go.
A place that most people don't see.
God bless, have a great day.
Those that are experiencing homelessness are many not seen and will never be seen by someone just driving through our city.
Allison Keir is the CEO of Covenant House, Alaska. Each year it provides services to about 220 young people between the ages of 13 and 24 who are homeless or at risk of being homeless. But in Anchorage, like elsewhere, it's hard to determine how many others need these services.
To track the inflow and outflow is really where I think it gets complicated, to say, do we know who the homeless are?
We know what we see day after day. People sleeping on sidewalks, standing on street corners, and camping in tents. But those people only represent a small fraction of the overall population. Each year, the U.S. government requires service providers to calculate the number of homeless people in a city or large community. It's known as a point-in-time count, which is taken on a single night in January.
Anybody in here?
That number is used to estimate the area's overall homeless population, which in turn determines how much federal funding it receives. This year in Anchorage, the survey showed there were 125 people living outside or on the streets, and 1,369 in some type of shelter.
There's stigma around poverty. There's stigma around homelessness.
Owen Hutchinson is with the Anchorage Coalition to End Homelessness. Their research found up to 3,000 individuals in Anchorage access some type of homeless service every month. Services that help a wide spectrum of people.
The overall population are people with jobs, they are families, they are people who some serious life event has happened that has caused them to fall into homelessness.
Do you think that a lot of people are just 1 or 2 paychecks away from being homeless themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Hutchinson says the point-in-time count that's mandated by the government doesn't tell the whole story.
And that's on a single night in winter. And on a single night in winter, the homeless population looks different than it does in the summer, and it looks different than it does over the course of a month.
He says Anchorage is transient, with people constantly coming in and out. Like Joseph Link. He left the UPIC community in Bethel 2 years ago to find work here in the city.
My family taught me how to survive, but can't do it here.
And I think there's an impression that in Anchorage, housing is easier, job searches are easier, and that's not always the case.
Alaska Natives make up about 15% of the state's overall population. In Anchorage, they represent over 47% of the homeless population.
So we also track and look at who are people working minimum wage jobs and renting apartments. And you see a higher number of Alaska Native people in that group. You see a higher number of people with disabilities in that group, and you see a higher number of elders.
Data collected by social service agencies throughout Anchorage in October of this year found whites made up 40% of the homeless population. 15% were African American, and just under 10% were either Hawaiian or Asian. That survey also found more than 7,300 people needing additional housing-related services. Our research found that number has declined slightly over the past 6 months. However, service providers are constantly busy.
We work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every day of the year.
Self-reported data shows 53% of the city's homeless claim to have a disabling condition. About 41% reported having mental health issues, and 23% admitted to having a substance abuse problem. This data isn't perfect, but social service workers say it better reflects the face of homelessness here in Anchorage. The government continues using the one-night count as a model to assess the needs of a community's homeless situation. But no matter how the homeless are counted, some feel they'll always be down for the count.
If I die, I die. It don't matter, you know.